Welcome back. It is a Wednesday. It's time for our weekly feature, Going Green. Tonight we're looking at the fate of a group of flamingos in South Africa. Birdlife South Africa has been involved in the conservation of the lesser flamingo at Kimberley's Kamfers Dam, which could run dry in a matter of weeks. The population there also threatened by a proposed massive housing development. To discuss, we're joined by Birdlife South Africa's CEO, Mark Anderson. Thank you for being with us, Mark. So you've been monitoring, I understand, these lesser flamingos for 15 years. Just explain why they're so close to your heart.
Well, I spent time in Kimberley. I was employed as the ornithologist in the Northern Cape and did a lot of work on them. There's this wetland just north of Kimberley which supports up to 100,000 lesser flamingos. Sure. A very special place, and being threatened, well, globally near threatened and regionally near threatened, it was an important bird for us to monitor, just to look at numbers over time.
Is it beautiful to be there, looking at 100,000 flamingos?
It is. It's an amazing sight, and I think I've been to Lake Natron and Lake Nakuru and some of the other lakes in East Africa. In some of these places you'll go there and you'll see lots of tourists and bird watchers watching these massive displays of flamingos. So it's a very nice sight to look at, 100,000 flamingos, a very special sight, this massive pink on the dam.
So right now they're threatened. Their chicks, about 5,000 last I read, that need to be rescued. Just explain exactly what the situation is at Kamfers Dam.
Okay, so they've bred before. They bred 4 years in a row from 2007, 2008, and on an island that we built. The island unfortunately flooded and they stopped breeding there. And then last summer they bred on their own on the shores of the lake. And that breeding event was successful. 8,000 chicks were produced. The previous breeding events, they produced 24,000 chicks. But they bred again during this summer, but because of the drought and reduced inflow of water from the wastewater treatment works, the dam has been drying up. So the nesting area was kind of left high and dry, and some of the chicks were abandoned. 2,000 were rescued at the end of January, but now there's these 5,200 birds in this creche, and we're very concerned about them. So Birdlife South Africa has been monitoring on site these birds for 6 weeks to determine whether just to see whether they remain there as well, and if there's any signs that the adults will abandon the chicks as well, and we could then maybe initiate another rescue event.
So what would that involve, rescuing 5,000 chicks?
Well, it'll be one of the biggest wildlife rescues ever on the planet. So we're actually not overly keen to do it because it'll be much better for the parents to raise their chicks. There's much greater chance of survival. So if we did rescue them, it may be what we're calling a soft rescue. We've actually recently, in the last week, constructed some artificial pans, which we're providing water in these pans, and we may cordon off this area, sort of herd them into this area and look after them there until they're old enough to fledge. Things are looking okay at the moment, and we're hoping that a proper rescue won't be necessary. Even the soft rescue won't be necessary. So we're monitoring the water, not only the water as well. So the lesser flamingo is a very interesting bird because it eats blue-green algae, also called cyanobacteria. So they filter feed the blue-green algae out of the water, and we think that the algae may collapse before the water goes.
So is the situation here, the adults, if the water level and quality deteriorates, they could fly off because they need that water, so they leave the chicks behind? That
could happen, and it probably happens quite regularly at the other breeding sites. So this is only one of 4 breeding sites in the world. The lesser flamingo breeds at 4 places in the world. But at the other sites, like Lake Natron in northern Tanzania, there may be at times when the lake dries up, that the adults actually abandon tens of thousands of chicks. So it's not unusual for them to do so, but we're hoping they don't do so in this case.
Yeah. And they're 5,000 chicks, so obviously you want them saved, but how important is this in terms of keeping the species going, because the word is used near threatened. These lesser flamingo are near threatened. What does that mean?
And the reason why they are listed as near threatened in the Red Data Book is not so much because the population is small, because the population numbers in the millions, 2 to 4 million about, but it's because they breed at so few sites. So 4 sites in the world. The other sites are Etoshapan in Namibia, Suapan in Botswana, and in Lake Natron in Tanzania. The problem, the other sites are affected by a number of factors. Etoshapan in Namibia, for example, there's less frequent inundation of the pan. So the catchment area receives less rain, and with climate change we think it's going to even receive less. So they breed successfully at Etosha on average about every 10 years. Suapan in Botswana, they're also breeding less and less frequently. So this is why Kamfers Dam and the island that we constructed in 2006 is so important, because we created an environment and a place for them to breed more regularly, annually. So we need to sort out the water issues at Kamfers Dam to ensure that they will breed every year and breed successfully every year.
This artificial dam you said was flooded. Is it still viable if the water recedes?
No.
Has it been destroyed?
So the island was flooded quite a long time ago. Unfortunately, when the water level rose, water levels actually receded subsequently. But the layer that we put on top of the island to enable the flamingos to construct their nest turrets, that has been washed away. So the island could be rebuilt. It's something that could be considered in the future. We have other plans that we're considering as well to establish a safe breeding area for the lesser flamingos.
Okay, so you're monitoring the water right now. Also reports about this housing development. How does a housing development get approved if it's threatening 100,000 flamingo?
Yes, and also threatening one of the most important sites for the species in the world.
Yeah, how does that happen?
Yeah. There was a previous housing development west of the dam, a property called Northgate, and we opposed that, successfully opposed it, and the development never went ahead. But this development is a bit further away. It's west of the dam and west of a railway line, so it's debatable whether there would be an influence. What we're really concerned about is access, human access and domestic dog access onto the dam. So when the birds abandoned a nesting area a few weeks ago, we went on site and we found a few dead chicks and a few dead adults and some deserted eggs, and we found dog spoor. So dogs had actually gone in there, and it resulted in the birds abandoning the site. So if this housing development does go ahead, and it's debatable whether it's a good or a bad thing, we need to secure the area as well. So I think a really good fence between any human sort of areas and the Kamfers Dam will be very important. Lesser flamingos are known to be very sensitive to disturbance, particularly when they're breeding.
So let's end with, what do you think is needed from everybody involved, government, developers, to keep this site sustainable, to keep this for future generations?
So this dam was actually a natural pan previously and got water from rainfall, but it's been a convenient place for the Kimberley municipality, the Salt Lake municipality, to dispose of its sewage. So the sewage has been flowing in there for a long time, but unfortunately the sewage infrastructure is not functioning anymore. So the pipes have got holes in them, the pump stations aren't working, the sewage works is not functioning, so raw effluent is flowing into the veld. So the most important thing that needs to be done is the sewage infrastructure needs to be fixed and needs to happen soon, so we can get water of an acceptable quality and also an acceptable quantity flowing into the dams to provide enough water for the flamingos and also to promote the algal growth on which the birds depend.
All right, so keep the flamingos coming back and breeding. Thank you very much for your time. That was the Birdlife South Africa's CEO, Mark Anderson. All right, and let's go back to Griselda, some of your comments following another horror taxi crash.